It's the Kenner Chronicles, or Ramblings of a Toy Junkie. Tonight's episode, the LOM and Zuckuss Debacle.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Kenner Chronicles, Ramblings of a Toy Junkie. Are you ready to start rambling? Well, I guess you're not going to ramble about toys. That's going to be my job. You're going to listen. So I'm going to ramble, and you're going to listen to my rambling, I hope. I hope you're enjoying it. The response so far has been pretty well. I was surprised. I thought with the episode 1 and episode 2, I thought, we might get maybe 50 or 60 people listening. But both podcasts have reached about 230, with episode 1 hitting over 800 views on YouTube. So thank you all. I know to the big guys out there, 800 or 200 don't sound like a massive number, but for a podcast just starting out with one episode to get 200, I personally feel that's good, especially when it's just me. I don't have like big names or anybody tweeting about it, so that's good. So how was your Kenner week? Or how was your Kenner week? Have you found anything good? Let me know. I love seeing stories on Twitter and stuff about stuff people find. For me, I don't think I've talked to y'all since then. I went to Nashville. And I found a place called The Great Escape. I think that was the name of it. I'm going to feel bad if it's not. But I think it was called The Great Escape. Somebody's going to correct me, I'm sure, if I'm wrong. They have 2 locations. I checked out one of the locations. And they're no longer downtown. I'm going to tell you that you know this place. Because I've had people tell me when I go to Nashville, hey, go to the one downtown. That's the one to go to. And I could never find it. And I found out the one downtown is not there anymore. And that's why I could never find it. But yeah, they had a bunch of, they probably had 8 to 10 finished Star Wars card stuff at a very good, reasonable price, lower than eBay. And they did layaway. Oh, I wish I bought something, but I didn't buy anything. It's hard for me sometimes to spend. I mean, even good prices are in the hundreds. But they had like I think a Obi-Wan on the original Star Wars card. I didn't see the back, so not really sure what the back looked like. I don't know if it was a 12 back or 20 back or whatever it was. So that was pretty good. Today I went to a flea market. Actually, right now I'm uploading the video on the YouTube, so you'll be able to see me hunting for Star Wars toys at this flea market. I'll go ahead and spoil it for you. I didn't find any good Kenner stuff there. I did find Kenner starting lineups. I don't know, it's not saying that's not a good thing, but I don't really know starting lineups. I'm not really a sports guy. So if you're into the sports stuff, if you're into the starting lineup, check out the video. But surprisingly, I did find a bunch of old Nintendo games, old Super Nintendo, old GameCube, old 64, and systems. A lot of systems out there too. And I saw at least 4 booths that probably had almost 100 each of NES games. At least there were 50. I mean, they were just piled everywhere. I don't know. I love looking at the Nintendo games, but I don't know what's rare and what's not and all this. So I kind of just went through them to see what I could remember. I love finding them games I used to play. It just brings back a lot of memory when you see those. But there was one booth that had them. This guy, you could tell this guy knew what he was doing. You know, he had them all priced, and he had the good ones in a glass case. So I thought right then, well, if this guy's out here every weekend, and he seems like this diehard. I mean, his booth was almost like a retro store. So I'm thinking if he's out here, he's hitting these other booths with the people that just got the games just laying around. So he's buying up anything that's hard to find. And he's letting the other booths keep all that crap stuff. So, but one man's crap is another man's treasure, right? I mean, I saw remote control. I would love to play that. I've got a Nintendo system. Hadn't hooked it up in years. I'm not even sure if it still works. It was mine from when I was little. But Nintendo's been very good with that stuff. I mean, I know my other systems, I never had a problem with the Nintendo system. Don't get me started on Xbox, because I bought my son an Xbox. So I swore I'm a Nintendo man. That's how I am. I'm loyal to brands. I don't know why I'm like that. When I was little, I bought Star Wars. I got Star Wars, Kenner. I didn't get Superpower. I didn't get G.I. Joe. I was like, Star Wars is mine. And then Christmas of 1984, I was forced into He-Man. My parents, or AKA Santa Claus, knew that He-Man was the Masters of the Universe. I call him He-Man. My brother used to get mad at me. Like, they're not He-Man toys. They're Masters of the Universe toys. I was like, oh, shit, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. So I'm going to say He-Man. So it was like Christmas morning, and I came down, I found a Castle Grayskull, and found like probably every figure that was out at that time. 84, I'm not sure. That's probably 2 or 3 series. And I knew about He-Man line already from kids at school. And I was like, I don't care about that, man. I'm about Star Wars. And all the kids were like, Star Wars? You mean that movie from 1983? That shit was last year toy. And, Star Wars was dying at this time. And sadly, He-Man won me over. So my Star Wars toys got pushed to the side. And I started playing He-Man. Here's another thing about He-Man. I'm rambling. I haven't even got onto the main topic yet. I went back. I've been watching with my son the classic He-Man cartoon. Do y'all remember that cartoon of the 80s? God, I love that cartoon. I would run home every day right after school to see that cartoon. I think it came on every day. It wasn't a Saturday morning cartoon. It was one of those came on in the afternoon during the week. I think like 3. I think it came on at like 3 o'clock, and I got out at 2:45. Luckily, I lived real close to the house. I went to school real close. But I was like, don't talk to me. I don't got time to talk. I don't got time to gossip about who kissed who or all this. I got to get my ass home because I got to see what Cringer's going to do. I got to see if Cringer's going to be all scared or he's going to turn into Battle Cat and go kick some ass. I couldn't wait to see that. But what was I even rambling about? I don't even remember now. I don't know. I played He-Man. I lived He-Man. I watched He-Man. He-Man was the shit in 1984. Probably 84 to 86 or 84 to 85. Probably for a year I was all He-Man. So I keep losing. I'm rambling so much I forget what I was saying. Okay, but I did not know this till I was watching it with my son. Man-at-Arms and Teela. Teela's dad is Man-at-Arms. How did I play toys all this time and not know that? I did not remember. I saw that on the cartoon. I was like, what? Did I just block it out? Huh? How could I block that out for all these years? I did not know that. And I showed my son the He-Man movie because he was really into He-Man. This was about a year ago. He loved the He-Man Masters of the Universe movie. And I put it on as a joke. Said, okay, he's going to really hate this because it's nothing like the cartoon. And he loves it. He don't see it as something stupid and corny like everybody else. So I guess, he's 11. So I guess that's why, it's probably made for people. Now, if you ask me, that not only was the He-Man movie horrible, you all know it was, it took away from the cartoon, which I know people say, well, it wasn't supposed to be based on the cartoon, but sorry, if you got a popular toy line and you got a popular toy line and you got a popular cartoon, don't make a movie that's not based on the two popular things. It makes no sense. I remember I was upset with no Orko. There was a lot of people from the cartoon that wasn't in the movie. They went to Earth in the movie. Can you imagine they did a Star Wars movie where they all went to Earth? Oh, don't even get me started on that He-Man movie. That was some bad stuff right there. Who's it? Courtney Cox, is that who's in it? Has she ever done in a movie that's really good? I guess she was okay in Ace Ventura, but I don't know. I think she did some Scream movies. I never saw those. Okay, I'm rambling on and on and on, and I haven't even got started yet. So what's the topic for the day? Well, that's a good question because I've been going back and forth. What I want to talk about, what don't I want to talk about? And this topic came up on Twitter, and it seemed to be a little back and forth there. And I said, well, I guess I'll talk about it. I did a video, or I didn't do a video, actually. Larry Wampa, the retired Larry Wampa, did a video on it on the Star Wars Junk YouTube page about the confusion about Forlorn and Zuckuss, the bounty hunters of the galaxy. Now, the question is, who is Zuckuss? Who is Forlorn? The other question is, did Kenner screw up? Did Lucasfilms screw up? What happened? What's the whole backstory? And while this whole weekend I've been searching on the internet, and like I did when I made the Larry video, there's no concrete information that you can just pull to and say, this is what happened. But I'm going to talk about it because I've talked to some of the designers at Kenner. Talked to Steven Sansweep long years ago back at Dragon Con when he used to come there about this, and some other people, and I've kind of put things together and I've came up with my own, I'm just going to lay it out what I've heard, and it seems very reasonable to me. I've put it out there before what I thought, and people was like, no, that's not what I heard. So everybody's heard something different. So it's like an urban legend now of how all this happened. So let's get into it. Let's talk about Zuckuss and LOM.
Now you can get this new 4 LOM action figure free for 5 proofs of purchase from any Star Wars action figures. Details on specially marked packages at participating stores. Offer expires August 31st, 1982.
Yep, the audio you just heard was from a Kenner commercial back in the 80s. And yes, the guy said 4 LOM. Now, I don't know about you, I've never heard anyone say LOM. It was always 4 LOM. Is that how you heard? That's how I always heard it. Even as a kid, we all said 4 LOM. But I'm guessing maybe, at least back then, it was LOM. You know, people, it's funny because the Kenner commercial said AT-AT, and now people's like, no, you spell it. And then the Kenner commercial spelled 4 LOM, and people are like, no, you don't spell it, you say it. Oh, so it's kind of crazy, isn't it? Anyway, let's talk about this. Now, still in my mind, 4 LOM is the alien-looking bounty hunter. Zuckuss is the droid. Now, I know, it's going to be confusing. But who got it wrong? Was it Kenner? Was it Lucas? Was it something in between? Was it just marked wrong? Let's talk about this and see what we can find out anyway. Because like I said, there's no official story for this. Again, I've talked to people. I know back in it was either the late 90s or early 2000s. I talked to Steven Sansweep. He was at Dragon Con. He had a book out that time. He was doing a Q&A thing. And I kind of talked with him to the side after the show. And I've talked to some other people, and I've read some stuff online. First, from what I understand, well, let's go back to what I don't know. Let's go all the way back. The novel to Empire Strikes Back. That's the first time we hear Zuckuss. Although Zuckuss in the book, the novel to Empire Strikes Back, doesn't fit any description. Now, this book came out before the film, and it's probably based at the person that wrote it. I don't know, was it Alan Dean Foster that wrote the novel? I can't remember. But that novel is probably based on a shooting script. He probably got the shooting script while they were filming the movie and worked that in. So there was nowhere officially that said this is Zuckuss. You know, like, we all knew who Boba Fett was. And I guess IG-88 might have had a name. I don't know who named it. But from what I understand, Zuckuss didn't have a name. Or the people we know is 4 LOM and Zuckuss, and those bounty hunters in Empire really didn't have a name except for Boba Fett, and I think maybe IG-88 and maybe Bosk. Don't hold me to that. But they were mostly just like the crew when they're making the alien mask. They kind of gave them names, and no one actually assigned, okay, this is Zuckuss. Now, somebody on the set might have called him Zuckuss, but it was never like laid out in a script. Like today, when you make The Force Awakens or Last Jedi, I'm sure every little aliens, you know, when they put them in the script, they're going through that script. Okay, who's this guy? What's this guy do? Where's this guy from? What's this alien's name? It wasn't like that. They just, you know, they brought the bounty hunters onto the set and probably made the mask and everything. And it was never anything official written down of who's who. And in the novel, which I was based on the shooting script, it said Zuckuss was humanoid. And as you can tell, Zuckuss, either one you look at it, is probably not human. Well, I guess you could call the bug, I call him the bug creature. I guess he's more humanoid than the droid. But you can tell from the novel that no one really knew who Zuckuss was either. So from what I've heard is, you know, Kenner was given photos and stuff of aliens and the bounty hunters and stuff coming out so they could prepare to start designing these figures. They were kind of just throwing stuff, and it's like here with no real names attached to them. Now 4 LOM, I can't find any information that says 4 LOM was named in the film. That no shooting script, no novel, nothing mentions the name 4 LOM. Or if you want to say 4 LOM, please let's not say that. I can find no information about that. If somebody's got it out there, let me know. But there is a rumor that the special effect guys, but I've heard this rumor apply to the special effect people and to the Kenner designers. So I can't really say who came up with this, but 4 LOM stands for love or money, or for the love of money. I've heard both ways. Love or money to me sounds better because that sounds more like something a bounty hunter would say. Well, a motto of a bounty hunter. So, Kenner, from what I understand, Kenner gets ready to make these figures. They've got pictures and stuff of the bounty hunters and the droids and the aliens. Nothing's ever really labeled. I mean, some things are, some things aren't. So they're told, okay, they've got the name Zuckuss. They've got these bounty hunters that don't have a name. Bosk has a name, IG-88 has a name, and Boba Fett has a name. So they just said, well, let's just randomly pick one. It doesn't really matter, does it? So without putting much thought into it, that's what happened. They just picked. They said, okay, we'll give Zuckuss to this guy, and we'll give 4-LOM to this guy. From what I talked to Stephen Hogan. He was a designer for Star Wars toys back then in the 80s. And this is kind of some information I have for him. It's not that Kenner was wrong. It's not that Lucasfilm got the cards mixed up or the photos mixed up. Or Kenner, I know somebody's told me that Kenner just printed the wrong name on the photo, on the card back, and that's how it got all mixed up. But from what I've been told, these names were signed to these people long before the card was made. In fact, I'm not sure, but I think Zuckuss was probably designed for a card before 4-LOM, because 4-LOM was a mail-in figure before it was released, and Zuckuss was already in stores. I think. I'm not 100% sure on that one. They were right there about the same time, because they both had the same card back number. The offer was probably offered for a 4-LOM figure before they even had the official card shipped out or made and ready to go. So it's nobody's fault. Nobody did anything wrong. They were just, it's kind of like the Snaggletooth, the blue Snaggletooth and the red Snaggletooth. Kenner was showing a picture without much details, and this was a different time. Like I said, nowadays everything's laid out. Who's who. You got Pablo over there saying, hey, that alien is this alien is that guy's this guy eats that for lunch, this guy's blood sugar level is this. So you got everything like that. How do we get all this confusing back and forth? Well, we're going to fast forward from the from the early 80s to the late 80s. Right around 1988, 89. West End Games were doing their role-playing books. And they were going back into and digging through all these archives and really making canon. They were finding out Greedo's past. They were giving a storyline to everybody. They were really the Pablo dog. Pablo that kind of takes care of all the Star Wars stuff now. They were really the first ones that really the gatekeepers that came in and said, let's straighten up all this canon. Let's make a story for everybody has a story, so they could put them in their role-playing books. Well, that's when they decided, looking at stuff, they said, well, look at Zuckuss. He looks like a robot. And 4-LOM looks like an alien. 4-LOM, yeah, see, I get them mixed up now talking about them. Numbers always go with the droids. Numbers don't go with humans or aliens. So it kind of made sense. So they went to Lucasfilm and said, look, for the last, almost 10 years, this guy's been 4-LOM. But he's not a droid, and he's got a number in his name. So let's watch Zuckuss and 4-LOM going forward. Lucasfilm agreed, made sense, and it does make sense when you think about it. Although it's hard for me to get on board with the name change, because I grew up, calling one guy 4-LOM, the other guy Zuckuss, so it's hard to switch. But then at times it's hard to remember which is which now. It gets so confusing. So that's the thing. West End Games decided to change it, so they did. And that's really the basic story from what I heard. Now, like I said, people out there are going to tell me no, that they heard that Kenner mislabeled them. Kenner got the photos mixed up. Kenner got blah, 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 blah. Kenner did this, Kenner did this. Lucas did this, Lucas did that. From what I heard, from everything that I've read, from people I've talked to, from going way back years on this, it was nobody's fault. Kenner was just sent stuff, hey, make action figures to these guys. Here are some names, and they kind of just threw the names out. Kenner named a lot of these action figures. I don't think that's what people realize. People think, well, that Lucasfilm or George Lucas named all these alien and stuff, but a lot of times it was Kenner throwing these names out there, like Hammerhead and Walrus Man. I know they wasn't too creative, right? They just saw a figure, hey, what's this guy look like? Well, it looks like he's got a hammer on his head. Hammerhead, that's a good name for him. Which I kind of miss that. I know nowadays, they've got they all got real names. Pondabalos, Walrus Man. But I kind of like just a Walrus Man. Prune Face. reuse. Well, reuse isn't really what it looks like. But that's all I'm saying. It wasn't anybody's fault. It wasn't Kenner's fault. It wasn't Lucas's fault or anybody else.
Who Snickens, Jar Jar Binks? That guy's gonna be the shit, I tell you.
Now, before we get into the classic Marvel letters, I just want to apologize. All week, or last week and a half, I've been promoting an interview with Fanboys director Kyle Newman. Well, it wasn't really an interview. We're going to end this podcast with 10 questions to a guest about Star Wars. Asking what was the first Star Wars or the first Kenner figure he had, or his favorite Kenner toy. I know he's a big fan of the Star Wars Kenner stuff, so we was going to just ask him 10 questions about Star Wars Kenner and go from there. We emailed back and forth. He said he would do the podcast. He said he was excited, looking forward to it, to do it Saturday, 26th, around 7 o'clock. And then I emailed him, asked him for his, was going to do it over Skype, for his Skype information. 3 or 4 days later, I haven't heard anything. So he just dropped off the face of the earth. Sent him a DM on Twitter just to remind him, hey, because I kind of like to have all this stuff laid out. I don't want to do it last minute. Sent him a DM, nothing either. Which is funny because he's favored some of my tweets since then. I know he's a really extreme busy guy, a lot more busier than me. He doesn't have time to sit around and talk toys all the time. So I'm not putting any blame on him because I know he's probably been busy. But I just wanted to put it out there in case you did come on this podcast expecting to hear that segment with Kyle Newman, and he's not here. So I apologize that he's not here, and maybe we can get him on the next podcast. Cross your fingers.
Find out at Marvel Comics.
Now it's time for Star Words. Hey, I said it right that time. I think any other time on the other podcast it took me 3 or 4 times. Okay, this one here is going to be a little long, but I thought it was something that you guys would like to hear. This is from issue number 33 from, let me see what year this is, 1980, March of 1980. So we're on the heels of The Empire Strikes Back. If you're new to the podcast, we read one of the letters from the Star Wars Marvel comics back in the 80s. And it really gives you insight to how people thought of Star Wars back then. And it's funny that a lot of these complaints or suggestions or just thoughts about the movie, you hear them today about Star Wars. So it's pretty neat to read these. So let's start with this one. Dear Archie, 1. I hate the way you handle Han Solo. He comes on like a total mercenary. Granted, he would do just about anything for money, but he wasn't that bad in the movies. There are many fans who would gladly trade places with Princess Leia and dump Luke Skywalker, though he is a nice guy. Also, why can't Han ever have a temporary girlfriend? And more stories about Han and Chewbacca's friendship. None of your characters ever change their clothes. They must stink by now. Or Leia's hairstyle. I like it, but some of your artists butcher it when they draw it. And get Luke out of the farm boy clothes. He's a Star Warrior now. Speaking of Luke, his force powers aren't developing fast enough. I saw the tantalizing preview for The Empire Strikes Back, and in the movie, Luke was able to at least levitate small objects. You guys still have him practicing with his lightsaber. And in your comics, Princess Leia doesn't do anything. Personally, I think she could get a crack at Darth Vader before Luke does. After all, she does owe him a thing or two. Please, with sugar and cherry on top, do a fill-in on Luke Skywalker's father and how he died at the hands of Vader. I'm dying to find out about that. You could have Darth Vader finally find out who Luke is and have him flash back about his fight with Luke's father. And finally, please get Luke Skywalker away from Tatooine as fast as possible. And that was from Polly. No address was given, so if you were planning on looking up Polly, I guess you can't. But here's Marvel's reply to Polly. Those are good suggestions, Polly, and they give us a good opportunity to talk a little about producing a comic like Star Wars. Many of the stories that the readers want to see and that we want to tell can't be done in these Star Wars pages because we don't have the only vision of Star Wars. Much of the relationship between the characters and many of the episodes that would reveal their past are the providence of Star Wars creator George Lucas, and it's our job to follow his lead. So unless we are authorized to do so, we can't really do any stories like fights between Luke's father and Darth Vader, because that's Mr. Lucas's domain. and we do respect rights of the creator. It also prevents us from having any showdowns between Luke, Han, or Leia and Darth Vader. Still, we think Archie has done a great job on the series. Lastly, Paula, our heroes may not change their clothes, on panel, that is. Though we do seem to recall Leia in some different outfits. But rest assured, they do wash them regularly. And that's our Marvel letter for this episode. Again, that's from the comic issue number 33, Saber Clash. Luke in a showdown battle for his life. Luke Skywalker might die in this issue, so you might want to pick it up. And if I'm right, this takes place a couple issues before Empire. Oh, I don't know about you, but God, I love the smell of. Oh, I love the smell of old comic books. Do they? I don't know. Something. What is it? The 90s when they don't have that smell anymore. Something about these old ones in the 80s and past that 70s. Oh, that's a good smell, isn't it? It's like, you remember when you get your action figures and you open them up and that plastic smell hits you? Oh, I don't really smell that anymore. I don't think. Or maybe I don't buy the right figures. But you remember? I remember, especially in the 90s, those the Hasbro era Star Wars figures, you would pull that bubble apart, and heaven, that plastic would hit you. That smell of that plastic action figure would just hit you in the face. I know. Now I don't know about the Kenner Classic Vintage. I don't remember opening them. I do remember. I can remember going to Zayre's and seeing Star Wars figures on the shelf. I can remember seeing them. I can remember Jedi really good being at Kmart, but I remember Zayre's seeing Empire Strikes Back and digging it through them and stuff. But I don't remember opening them, but I'm sure as soon as I bought them, they were open before I got to the car.
Star Wars figures.
Okay, let's talk hunting Star Wars. Now, this is the video I just put up online. It's me going to a flea market. Now, I did another video of these probably about a month ago. I went to an antique store and looked for, I'm mostly looking for vintage Star Wars toys, but I'm looking for anything Star Wars and anything to film and talk about. Went to a flea market today. Man, sadly, I didn't find any vintage Star Wars stuff. I saw a few 90s. I know I saw Stormtrooper from the 90s and some of the early 2000s stuff, which is nice. I saw some loose stuff like that. But I was surprised of all the Nintendo games. Now, I don't know what's rare. I know those are kind of really collectible right now. But I saw at least 4 tables out there that had tons and tons of Nintendo games. I couldn't believe it. So, I'll upload this video. But man, looking through those old Nintendo games brings back some memories. It makes me want to go hook up my old Nintendo because some of these games I haven't played in years. Does anybody remember I don't know, was it late 80s? Yeah, I don't think it was early 90s. I think it was late 80s. The MTV show Remote Control. Oh, they had a Nintendo game of that. And I remember playing that with my friends, after school and on the weekends. Man, I bet that game sucks now playing it. But, it was just like having, and this is back when MTV was good. When they mostly show videos, but they did have to do a little silly stuff here and there, and they did the game show. If you don't know about the Remote Control game show, if you're younger than probably 35, 40, you probably might not know about it. Go on YouTube, type in MTV Remote Control. It's hosted by Ken Obert. I think Adam Sandler's on there, on some of the earlier episodes before he was famous. I think Dennis Leary got some of his start there. Colin Quinn. So a lot of the big comics today are on this show. It was hosted by Ken Ober. Sadly, has passed away. Man, I just saw that Nintendo game, and I hadn't thought about that show in a long time. And it brought back some memories. I was like, I'm going to have to play that again. I remember they had the Brady Bunch channel. I think they had an Andy Griffith channel. Where it was, if you don't know, it was a game show where they asked you trivia questions. It was mostly pop culture. And like I said, this is, like I said on the other podcast, my generation was really getting into pop culture. That's why shows like Remote Control was such a big hit for us. And does anyone remember, I think this was more in the 2000s, a show on Comedy Central, a game show called Beat the Geeks. I used to want to go on that show so bad. I was like, I can beat that. I remember they had a Star Wars geek on there that he was good, but I was like, oh, come on, I could beat that guy. Or I could at least give him a run for his money. All right, there. So, but that Remote Control really got me. Another one I saw was Hollywood Squares. Did anyone play that? I don't know. I had this thing for Nintendo games that were based on game shows. I think Win, Lose, and Draw was horrible because you couldn't hardly draw on it. But This was, I remember Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune. I don't know why I play those. Me and my friends. It was usually me and my sister loved to play them together. But, like Jeopardy, I was horrible at it. Not the questions were a lot easier on the Nintendo game than they were on the TV show, where I can hardly ever never answer anything on the TV show. But I'm a horrible speller, especially back then, in my teen years. And you didn't spell the words exactly right. You were gonna lose even if you knew the answer. And you had that little controller with the with the keypad and the 2 buttons, and you had the timer counting down, and you had to spell out these words. You had to spell out Louisiana Purchase, and you got 30 seconds, and I'm saying how do you spell that thing? I don't know. And then you hitting B, but you hit the B button, and it takes you back to that, and the timer's clicking, and you're trying to spell purchase. You're asking your sister how you spell purchase, and she's like, I'm not gonna tell you how to spell it, because then you get the point. I'm not gonna help you. That's cheating. And I was like, oh no, but I know what the answer is. I'm screaming at the TV, Louisiana Purchase, and I get about LOUS out, and out of time, and then it says, then it tells me my answer is wrong. But I love playing these games. Do they make them anymore for, like for the Wii and the PlayStation? Do they make, do they even have game shows? I guess there's some game shows out there that's on TV now, but didn't Match Game come back? I used to love watching Match. Here I am rambling. In the 80s, my game show to go to, especially in the summertime, I would go stay at my grandmother's, was Card Sharks. Did anybody like Card Sharks, or was it just me? They would ask these people these stupid questions about, we asked 100 females, what do they think of Wicket the Warwick? I asked 100 females, do they like Star Wars or Star Trek? Out of the 100 females, how many people said Star Wars? That's a stupid question like that, and then they'll have the guy would explain. They would always explain the answer. They couldn't just say the answer. Well, Bob, I think Star Wars reaches more people than any other science fiction movie, so I think the percentage of that's going to be high. I'm going to say about 80%. And then they would ask the contestant next to them, what do you think? And then they would, again, they couldn't just say lower or higher. They would have to give their reason. Well, Star Wars is more aimed for boys, and I think Star Trek's on TV, so people see it more. So I think the percentage is going to be really low. I think that's going to be like 30%. And then they would pick, and then whoever won, that gets to play the card game. And it's a very simple game. You would have a deck of cards, I think 8 cards laid out, and they would flip a card over. And let's say it was a 4, you got to say higher or lower. The next card's going to be higher or lower. So, is your next card higher or lower than a 4? Higher. They will always go, higher, Bob. I don't know. And I play this with my kids all the time. I would get a deck of cards and lay them out and let them play it. And they always have one or two that says, like they would get a 2, and they would say, you got to go higher, higher. And then it'd be a 2. And I loved it. I love that show. I love it because you can't go lower than a 2, and they would be sure. I'm going higher, Bob, going higher. God, good times, man. That was a good TV show. Card Sharks. I don't know. Does that come on a game show channel or something? I can't remember, but God, I hope they show that on there. I love that. And Match Game. I didn't know I was going to sit here and talk about retro TV game shows. Match Game was the funniest shit. When I was little, I didn't even know it. And who was the one guy on there? Very flashy. Charles Nelson Riley. I love Charles Nelson Riley. Wasn't he great on that show? I hope I'm not showing my age. I'm just blown away by that. And I just had this other thought. I was just thinking about staying at my grandma's house during the summertime. And it was, especially when I was little, it was before the game shows. Because she had to watch Price is Right before she watched her soaps. Yeah. I can talk an hour just about God and Light. Yeah, about Roger Thorpe and Reva and Josh and Alan Spaulding and all them. I know, you're like, dude, what are you doing talking soap operas? Well, I can, especially God and Light. And it was good. It was sure it was cheesy and stupid, but I loved how they would leave you hanging in an episode. God, something happened on a Friday. Alan Spaulding with, Roger Thorpe came back to life. Yeah, everybody thought he was dead for 10 years. He came back on the show, and that Friday, he rips off his mask, and you got to wait all weekend. Shit. I can understand why my mom and my grandma loved watching these, because it was, You know, that's how I felt when Empire Strikes Back ended. Like, give me more, give me more. But yeah, actually, I'm not lying to you. I could watch The Guiding Light. I watched it. Oh, I couldn't wait. My mom would watch it too, and she would record it and watch it after work. And sometimes I would just watch it before she gets home because I got to see what's going to happen to Alan Spaulding or all these people. Oh, that's crazy. Okay. I'm embarrassing myself here. What was I talking about? Oh, my grandma's house before she watched Price is Right and the good Price is Right with Bob Barker. Yeah, I almost forgot his name. He was great, wasn't he? But and my granddad was always horrible at that show. I don't think he ever bought. Because whenever they went grocery shopping, she would buy everything, and they were like, "Okay, here's a box of macaroni, Kraft macaroni and cheese. Do you think it's $1.25?" And my grandpa was like, "No, that's like 30 cents." I was like, Granddad, have you been out of the house since 1920? Nothing 30 cents anymore. But so I would come over there in the morning and start my morning every morning. Back then, Captain Kangaroo. Oh my God, Captain Kangaroo. Captain fucking Kangaroo, man. That was the shit. And you remember that little Simon guy that did drawings? I think in the 90s, Mike Myers did a character based on him on Saturday Night Live. And that's a lot of people remember more that than I think Simon. But he's like, Simon, I like to do drawings or something like that. Oh, God. And Mr. Green Jeans and just Mr. If you don't know Captain Kangaroo, look him up. He just had a way of softly talking to you. And then that moose would come out and ping pongs would fall all over the place. It was crazy. And, oh, man, I just had this thought. Just popped in my head. What was that? Oh, the New Zoo Review. Does anybody remember that? That's one of the things I never hear anybody talk about anymore. It was some kind of life. It was a puppet show. I don't remember much about it. I just remember they were puppets, but they were life-size. One was an owl. Oh, God, I can't remember nothing about it. One was a frog, and it was the creepiest looking frogs I ever seen. And I remember a couple of years ago, I saw this on YouTube. It was like an outtake from that TV show of the clown, and I think the hippo. There was a hippopotamus that had weird round nostrils that was really scary. And that's all I can remember. It was the hippopotamus's nostrils while I tried to watch that show. Oh, it was creepy, but you couldn't turn away. Anyway, there's a clip on YouTube with them two, I guess it's a blooper, them cussing each other out and talking about sucking balls or something. It's just, man, it blows your mind away. But man, the New Zoo Review, I haven't thought about that. And then I would, oh God, I'm going to blow my mind again. There's another one called a puppet show. It came on PBS called Clyde Frog Show. And it was cheap puppet show. I mean, you know, you could see the sticks on the hands. They never had background. That's what I couldn't understand. The whole background was always black. And they had a frog that was called Clyde Frog, and I think it was a kid frog, and then they had a superhero frog on the show. Oh God, I'm just going way back about these old TV shows. I didn't even mean to get into this topic. But what else did I watch growing up? Maybe you remember that. I mean, we know the classics like Dungeons and Dragons cartoon right there. Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. Now, I talked about this already on one of my videos, but Dungeons and Dragons came along at a perfect time where you was getting out of those kiddie cartoons and you were wanting something more young adult. It was great. I just wish Dungeons and Dragons had a final episode. Because you remember, it was about kids and they were lost in that Dungeons and Dragons land because they got on a roller coaster or something. I can't remember exactly. But they never got home. Oh, come on. Who owns the rights to the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon? Put that shit on Netflix. Give us a final episode. Get those kids home. Who's up? Come on. Preach it, guys. Y'all go out there, go crowdfund me or whatever. Get Dungeons and Dragons back and let's get those kids home. It's part of my childhood. I got to see what happened to those kids. You know, it's like Gilligan's Island, not get off the island. But they did get off the island, didn't they? They did did you anybody remember that TV movie with the Gilligan? And all of them got off the island? God, it was horrible, wasn't it? Well, I loved it back then in the day, but I bet I couldn't sit through it now. Oh, they used to do them reunion shows, and they would always try to look dressed and everything like they did on the show, but they would look too old, and just always, the reunion shows always looked came off as pathetic and sad more than anything else, and they always tried to, remember the Brady Bunch would always come back, and they would come back as a drama and not as a comedy. I don't understand that. You got a 30-minute comedy, and you're going to do a reunion show that's an hour drama. You know, Mike Brady's under a house that's falling on him, an old retirement home fell on him on Christmas time, and then you got the Return to Mayberry. You got, you know, Barney, I guess that one did try to stay comedy. You got Barney thinking he sees a dinosaur out in a Loch Ness monster. But, okay, Barney's kind of funny at 30, but Barney at 60 singing Monsters in the Lake is just, it comes off as just stupid and sad more than anything else. And then you got, oh man, does anybody remember this? In the 80s, Beaver came back. Remember Leave It to Beaver? The Return of Beaver? Oh, it was so cringy now. Because Beaver's living at home with his mom. He's divorced. He's got 2 kids. I was like, come on. Don't do that to the Beav. Come on. And Wally and just, and they brought back some of the guys from the show. I think Eddie Haskell was back and he had his real son on the show. It's like, who are these people? Haven't even acted in 20 years. Has Eddie Haskell done anything besides Leave It to Beaver? And now he comes back. And I think they did as a return to, what was it? Still the Beaver. That's what it was called, Still the Beaver. Yeah, that's what it was. And they turned it into a TV show. I think it was on TBS for a couple of seasons. Probably not even a couple of seasons. Probably a couple of episodes. Whoa, God, I'm rambling, ain't I? Where did I get? What was he talking about? Oh, stuff we grew up with. And I found this PSA. I'm going to play a clip on it because I can't really explain it, but it's one of those, the more you know, one of those, today I learned. I was like, oh, it blew my mind. I was like, I haven't seen that or even thought about that in years. Let's play a clip from it, and then we'll talk about some more stuff we grew up with.
Hi, I'm Dwight Schultz, and I'll be right back with One to Grow On.
One to Grow On. There, I found it. Now, Chucky, don't ever do this. Oh, it was creepy, man. Because it would show, if you're on YouTube, I'll put the video up. But if you're just listening to this on the podcast, it's creepy because it's like this animation drawing. And it's like this guy, it's like fitting to eat a sundae or something. And the sundae turns into the person, and the person turns into a mom yelling at the kid saying, now, Charlie, don't ever do that. And I just remember when I heard that, it brought back some memories. And then the little kid turned into, I think, a vacuum cleaner. God, get me explain this to you while seeing it. It's just crazy. But it was like a PSA announcement. They would come on. They would have some celebrity from the network come on and tell you about it. Like, obey your mom. Don't do drugs. Don't let people touch your hiney and stuff like that. Oh, God. But I saw that clip yesterday when I was looking through some stuff on YouTube. And I was like, it blew my mind. I couldn't believe it. But, man, wasn't the 80s a great time to grow up and seeing stuff like that? You don't get that stuff anymore. How great was cartoons? I want to thank the people on Twitter that told me about Sport Billy. I couldn't remember. I remember it was on USA Network. I remember it had something to do with sports. I couldn't remember nothing. I think his name was Sport Billy or Sporty Bob. Now I done forgot again. But for years I couldn't remember what that was. And I asked on Twitter, kind of explained it. And everybody's like, oh yeah, that's Sport Billy. And I had to go look on YouTube. I was like, oh, that's what it was. I couldn't believe it. I remember that the USA Network, you have that train come by before they bring the cartoons and show Laugh Olympics. Man, wasn't the Laugh Olympics great? Everybody loved Laugh Olympics, where they took like all the cartoon characters, they come on and did the Olympics. Man, that was great. What was another good cartoon back then? Of course, we had He-Man, Thundercats, G.I. Joe, those serious good cartoons. But then I think we got a little carried away with it. Remember Pac-Man? How the hell did Pac-Man have his own cartoon? Now, ain't that crazy? But I watched it. I had to wake up on Saturday, my day to sleep in, so I wouldn't miss the damn Pac-Man cartoon. You can't miss that. You know, Pac-Man wore a hat on it. That's funny right there. That's going to get everybody to watch it. Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, and the Ghost. I can't remember the concept of it, but I know he lived in a Pac-Town. And then you had, Rubik's Cube had his own cartoon in the 80s. Rubik's Cube. If they still did Saturday morning cartoons right now, we would have a fidget spinner cartoon, I'm sure. Man, I mean, Pac-Man, okay, I can kind of see Pac-Man. Put some legs on him, put him in a Pac-Town, let him do some Pac Adventures. But come on, Rubik's Cube. How in the hell does Rubik's Cube have his own cartoon? Now, I can't remember much about the Rubik's Cube cartoon other than it had it. I can't remember watching it. You remember the wrestling cartoon, the WWF? I know I don't supposed to call it WWF anymore. It's called, WWE? Is that what they call it now? I don't watch it. But man, and speaking of wrestling, I know I'm probably going to say it silly because I'm a Southerner. Wrestling. So that's probably what I'm going to say. But somebody out there help me. I think it was the early 80s. It was before wrestling was really big. It was before Hulk Hogan and all that stuff. It was on, I remember old TBS, back when TBS showed stuff at 5 after. You remember that? What was that deal? You try to watch, like, okay, I'm going to watch Gilligan's Island, but then I'm going to turn it over and watch Silver Spoons comes on. I don't want to miss Silver Spoons, but Gilligan's Island goes off at 8:05 and Silver Spoon comes on at 8. What am I going to do? Why did they do that? I don't. Maybe there was that plan that people wouldn't change the channel because they already missed the first 5 minutes of what they was going to turn it to. But what was I fucking talking about? This is what we call rambling, guys. Rambling from a toy junkie. Because here we are, we're starting to talk toys, and where we ended up on talking soap operas and game shows and TV shows from the 80s. Yeah, you never know where you're going to end up, do you? What was that? What was... Oh, wait. I remember what it was now. We was talking about wrestling. Yeah, okay, it was like early 80s. I think it was on TBS, which is the Superstation. I remember he had a mask on. That's all I can remember. Is anybody out there know who I'm talking about? He was really popular, at least in the South. I don't know if it was, like I said, this is before Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan, before it came really big. This is when it was just on that little cable channel, and they had a little ring, but, this is probably back when Andy Kaufman was fighting with him. Man, don't you love Andy Kaufman? But, what, the mask, God, I think his mask was in his name. But, oh, man, me and my brother would see that come on, it would come on, we'd watch it, and about 30 seconds into it, maybe a minute into it, we both would pull the mattress off for our bed, throw it on the floor, and be wrestling around on that floor, fighting each other. Yeah, fighting with each other. And he would be the mask. I don't want to say Mask Avenger. Sounds like that sounds too like something in a comic book though. Oh man, Masked Man 2. I seemed like he might have had a number in it. Somebody out there in podcast land's gonna know who I'm talking about. Okay, I can't be the only one. But we watched them fight. Man, the 80s TV. Wasn't it great? I don't even hardly watch TV now. You know, I mean, there's some good shows on TV now. Don't get me wrong. I love Walking Dead. Breaking Bad was awesome. And there's some good drama shows out there now. And, oh, God, Eastbound and Down, Louis C.K. show. There's a lot of good shows out there. Don't get me wrong. But, man, growing up in the 80s, I don't know. I guess kids watch the Disney Channel, Hannah Montana, and shit like that now. But, oh, remember Nickelodeon? Let's talk. Can we talk Nickelodeon for the next 2 hours? Nick fucking Nickelodeon was great. I know we had... You Can't Do It on Television. You know, anybody that's listening to watch my YouTube videos, I know I love that show. Well, Moose and Kevin Kupachowski and Lisa and Saying I Don't Know. You're getting all that stuff in your hair. And Lance Morissette in the later ones, but I always quit watching by then. And, oh, man. But remember the dude from Full House? What's his name? Dave Coulier? Dave, I can't say it. You know, the guy that did all the voices on Full House. He had his own show, Out of Control, Nickelodeon. Remember that? Oh, Out of Control. Now, I hadn't thought about that in a long time. There was another one with Spock, Leonard Nimoy. Remember that? Leonard Nimoy did a show like making movies. What was that called? Lights, Camera, Action. Oh man, I remember they did a whole episode about Return of the Jedi, and I was like, oh man, heaven, Star Wars is on TV. Yeah, oh man, I forgot about that. And there was another one. Oh god, okay, I need your guys' help again. Please help me. Nickelodeon. Early 80s, mid 80s, right about the time Nickelodeon started. Oh, God, I can't remember anything about it. I can't even explain it to you because all I can remember is the guy that hosted it was like the dad on that show, One Day at a Time. Remember that show in the 70s, One Day at a Time? With Snyder. Was that his name? Fucking Snyder. I forgot about fucking Snyder with his cigarette rolled up in his arm. Fucking Snyder, man. He was like, I guess CBS or somebody had the funds, so whoever had One Day at a Time had to get fucking Snyder. It was like the guy that fixed the apartment. Fucking Snyder. All right, about that name in a long time right there, Snyder. Well, I lost my train of thought again. Now fuck you, Snyder. You fucked up. You done made me forget what I was talking about. Fucking Snyder. Well, yeah, there was a dad on the show on One Day at a Time. I don't think he was on every episode. I think he came on every now and then, or maybe on the later ones. But he hosted a show on Nickelodeon, and I cannot figure out what that is. I think it was how they made stuff or something. Oh, speaking of that, remember Mr. Wizard? Oh, go to YouTube and type in Mr. Wizard being a dick. And I didn't realize how rude he was to all these damn kids. He would ask them stupid questions, and they would, I don't know. And he's like, no, you didn't know that, did you? He was such a dick to all these little kids. Mr. fucking Wizard, man. Oh, how many times did Mr. Wizard and them little stupid kids make something? Like, yeah, you can make this out of your house. All you need is this, all of this, out of your cabinet. And you go in there, I could never make none of that shit. And it's like, okay, we're going to make a rocket that'll go to the moon and back. All you need is baking soda and a popsicle stick, and we'll be able to fly to the moon and back and scrape off some of the moon. And I was like, I can't make this shit. I can't make none of this shit in my house. Fucking Mr. Wizard, man. That guy can do anything. What a dick. And speaking of Nickelodeon, y'all remember this one? Pinwheel spinning around. Look at my pinwheel and look what I found. Oh, God, I hated that. I was really too old for Pinwheel. Now, if you don't know Pinwheel, it's some little kid show that started off Nick in the morning time where they had little kid shows. But I remember summertime, I guess I would fall asleep watching Nick at Night and to wake up and hear that pinwheel spinning around. Look at my pinwheel. Look what I found. Oh, that's still stuck in my head today. And then at the end, they would sing the song, and then some little kid would go, pinwheel. God. Oh, I never wanted to murder a child so much in my life when I would lay there and hear that. Pinwheel. God. And then they had this other, remember this other one where, oh man, I'm going down some memory lane here. I don't know if anybody's going to remember this stuff or even listening anymore. What was the other one? Today's Special. Yeah, it was like this weird old man puppet. And it was kind of like that movie Mannequin, where a mannequin comes alive. And it was, I remember this one, I guess it was the mannequin, had curly hair. He looks like he probably liked to do, he looked like a mime or something. He's just like, he's very light on his feet. And oh my God, that was a stupid show. Wasn't there a boot on it or something? I think I remember something about a boot. And that just reminded me of something else. Who was this guy? Oh God, what was his name? Mr. Goodbody? Was that his name? Slim Goodbody or something? Oh, you be at home. Okay, now let me see. I know kids today, they're all sheltered and they got babysitters and everybody living in the house with them. But, in summertime, I'll be home by myself. Well, my brother's probably 5-6 years older than me, my sister, but they were both older than me. So in summertime, they would either sleep till 1 or wake up at 1 and they'd be the hell out of there, right? But, and this would come on, what was it? Mr. Slim Body. What was it? It was like a man and he had like this suit that's like you could see his body. It's like a bodysuit. I mean, you could see through it. You could see his heart and his liver and his lungs, and he was a really freaky looking, molester looking guy, and he was just, he was creepy. And you'd just be at home just flipping through the TV, and there he is on PBS probably. That was probably PBS, right? Dancing around with his skin showing and his guts showing and everything. Oh, God, it was horrible. And it'd be stuck in your head the rest of the day. Whew. Man, that brings back some memories right there. Yeah. What else do we have in there? Man, we had some good stuff, man. We had the A-Team. Remember everybody loved the A-Team. Magnum P.I. God, I love some Magnum. I know everybody loves Miami Vice. I never watched Miami Vice, but I watched Magnum. Tales of the Gold Monkey. Man, there we go. I want that still good. Tales of the Golden Monkey. It was like a fake Indiana Jones on TV. That was great too. God damn, I'm still fucking laughing at Snyder though. Fucking Snyder. And of course, you can't talk 80s TV while talking to the Dukes of Hazzard. And I'm talking about Bo Luke and fuck, what's the other guy's name? Bo and shit. Bo and come on, what's Tom Lopez's name? But John Snyder's Bo, right? Luke. Now I forgot which one's which. Bo and Luke. Yeah, we gotta talk about the Duke boys. Man, and I'm not talking about Vance and I forgot Mike and Vance, were their names. Remember when the Duke boys left? I think John Steiner, Tom Lopez wanted more money or something, more creative control. They wanted to do more jumps in the General Lee or something. So they left the show and they brought in these cousins and nobody gave a shit. Nobody watched it anymore. And then they came back. The damage were already done. And by then nobody watched the Dukes of Hazzard anymore. But God, man, I lived for the Duke boys, especially the first couple of seasons. Man, me from living down here in Georgia, then I think that's where it took place in Hazard County. Although I don't think there's really a Hazard County, but I think it took place in Georgia. Am I right? Man, just then I didn't hit me at the time that this is supposed to be a show about moonshiners. They're all breaking the law. They're running around making moonshine. driving through all these backcountry roads and everything. I can't imagine them doing a show about moonshiners today. But it reminds me of this. I'll tell you guys this before we get on with the podcast. I remember writing a story probably about 1980, 1981. We had to write a story for class. And here's my story. Man, I wish I could find this story so I could read it. I bet it's horrible. Luke Skywalker, after destroying the Death Star, apparently, maybe I wrote this before Empire. So, maybe it's 79. I don't know. Maybe, the year don't matter. But Luke Skywalker, he's destroyed the Death Star, and he's flying around in an X-Wing, and something happens. He ends up on Earth. And not just on Earth, but he ends up in Hazard County. That's right. I wrote in like the 3rd grade or something a story. It's probably wasn't. We had to make our own little book. It had a little cover on it and everything. Probably 8, 9 pages. It was probably stupid. But everybody else you know in a story about, a puppy that I loved, or the time I won or they do a story about hitting a home run in baseball, and everybody loves them. And here I am sitting in class writing a story about the time Luke Skywalker landed in Hazard County and met Bo Duke, and they hung out together. For some reason, Luke Duke wasn't in my story. I don't know if I hated Luke Duke. Maybe I was upset at him. Maybe he said something to Enos in the last episode I didn't like, so I wrote him out. Or maybe I thought, oh man, I'll do a whole new story about Luke. Or maybe because I already had Luke. I couldn't have a story with 2 Lukes in it. That's what it is. That's why I wrote him out of the story. Oh man. My little 3rd grade mind couldn't handle writing a story with 2 characters named Luke. So apparently I wrote him out. So I did this whole adventure about Luke Skywalker and Bo Duke hanging out, and they had to have a fight with Boss Hogg, because no lie now. Fucking Boss Hogg. From what I remember, God, I wish I could find this book. Boss Hogg had a plan to turn the Boar's Nest into a Death Star. It don't make any sense. I don't know how you have a Death Star on a planet or in Hazard County. But that was his whole plan, and Luke Skywalker was teaming up with Bo Duke, and they were going to put a stop to it. And I remember I had a debate who was worse, Darth Vader or Boss Hogg. And Luke was like, no, you don't understand. This Darth Vader's guy, he's probably the worst character ever. And then Bo's like, well, let me tell you about Boss Hogg. And then Luke was like, oh, shit. Man, Darth Vader looks like a piece of cake after dealing with Boss Hogg. I mean, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm telling you. But shit, we're supposed to end this podcast in a few minutes, and we're supposed to talk about a Kenner toy that's not Star Wars. So I won't bore you anymore with my rambling on and on about 80s TV. But man, it was a good time. If you're listening to this podcast and you're like, hey, I don't remember the 80s, or I don't remember that time, because it was really that early 80s. That was something else. But I guess everybody says that. That's just, that's just looking back. I'm sure, people looking back to the 90s, growing up in the 90s, loved it. And something about your childhood, that stuff can't touch. So, let's move on from the movie stuff. Let's talk Kenner.
Oh, howdy, partner. Time for timer.
Okay, somebody on Twitter asked me what I thought the worst Kenner line was. And I think about it. I thought, well, most of their lines, even if I didn't collect them or really play with them, I really had no problem with them. Even like, let's say, The Shadow that we talked about on the special episode last week. Sure, I didn't like the movie, didn't care about the figures, but I thought they looked good. I think I said that in the podcast. They really took their time in detail. Now I'm going to talk about a line that I don't like. This is Kenner in the Hasbro era, 1995. And no, I'm not going to say Power of the Force 2 Star Wars line. Come on now, I love that line, although I do pick on it. This was Dragonheart, from a movie where Sean Connery did the voice of a dragon. And who was the star of that? Dennis Quaid. I think Dennis Quaid was the star of it. The dragons look pretty decent. I'll give them that. The dragons are very bright. They good detail on them. But it's the action figures that I don't like in this line. They were small, hard plastic action figures. They were smaller than Star Wars, probably about half the size of Star Wars. They came with a lot of accessories. But they were fixed from what I remember. They were hard plastic toys. No joints on them. The arms didn't move. The legs didn't move. I can't really call them action figures, but they were marketed as an action figure line. They were on a blaster card and everything like an action figure. They're just really horrible. Now the details I'll give Kenner, they do look pretty good. But overall, like I said, they're just hard plastic. They're not much fun to play with. You can't really do much with them. Let's see, I'm guessing they focus more on the dragons for the line, but I don't think the movie did all that well. I know the toy line didn't do good at all. So, I think there was only, let me just double check. Yeah, there was only one figure line. There was only Series 1 released because they didn't sell good. But if you come across these, check them out. I'll put some pictures of them up on Twitter. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'll put a picture up also. But again, they're just hard plastic, and they got the weirdest poses. They're all leaning, or a lot of them were like leaning to the left or something, where like one leg stuck out straight and the other leg was kind of bent while they were leaning on it. I don't know if there's any Dragon Heart collectors out there, or somebody that loves this line, please get with me and let me know. Maybe I'm missing something. Come on and talk to me about it. Maybe there's something in this line that I just forgot about. But, somebody asked me what I thought the worst line was, and I really didn't have anything came to mind until I remember this Dragon Heart line. There's just, sorry, Kenner. They're probably the worst. Luckily, I can say, hey, that was the Hasbro years. I can blame Hasbro, right? But they're just, I don't know who came up with that. Like I said, I guess they were trying to focus more on the dragons and the humans, but I think they actually had more humans. And I mean, they could have done it. I don't see why they couldn't have been the scale of the Star Wars figures, or maybe a little small. I don't see why they had to do hard. It looked like something came out of a bubblegum machine, just a little bigger than that. But that's it right there. That's the worst action figure line from Kenner that I can think of. If you got one out there that may be worse than the Dragonheart one, let me know.
Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
Well, guys, I guess that's about it. I rambled for almost an hour or a little bit more, and sorry, I didn't really stay focused on Kenner this episode. But hey, we're just having fun here, right? That's why it's Rambling of a Toy Junkie, because you never know where this podcast is gonna go. We always start with Kenner, and you never know where we're going to end up. Hopefully, we'll have Kyle Newman on an upcoming episode. Sorry I promoted it, and he did reach out to me last night while I was recording this podcast, and we just hadn't got the time and everything worked out yet. So he's still willing to come on. I'm still willing to talk to him. So hopefully, we'll have him on the next one or one very soon. And also, I just want to say we now have a Star Wars Junk podcast where it's just me rambling about Star Wars. Mostly theories and news and just whatever's going on or whatever I just want to talk about when it comes to Star Wars. And again, like you can see, I ramble a lot, so it might vague from Star Wars into something else. Who knows? But check that out. It's called the Star Wars Junk Unleashed podcast. If you're listening to this on iTunes, you're going to notice it here. It's going to say SWJ Unleashed. And of course, the Kenner ones are going to say Kenner Chronicles. So you'll be able to know the difference if you don't want to listen to Star Wars. You just want to hear Kenner. I was going to put them on a separate feed, but I really didn't see the need to spend an extra $15, $20 a month when I should just put them under this feed. If the Star Wars one really takes off and they seem like they need separate feeds, I'll do that so it doesn't confuse people that just want to listen to Kenner. I did kind of hate to mix them together, but again, why waste the money when I'm not even sure if anybody's going to listen. But I want to thank you for listening to the Kenner podcast. I've got a lot of great feedback from it. So again, thank you for listening. Hit us up on Twitter. Always looking for topics to talk about. So if you've got anything that you may want me to discuss, you can reach me at Kenner Toys on Twitter. And of course, StarWarsJunk.net. And I'm going to start trying to get on Facebook more. We have a Star Wars Junk Facebook. I don't use it much. I usually just post pictures on there if it's some kind of breaking news. So people tell me, get on Facebook more. Do more with your Facebook account. So I'm going to try that. So if you got Facebook, just join us at Star Wars Junk on Facebook. I was going to do a separate Kenner one, but until there's a reason for that or I've got enough people wanting it, then I'm just going to keep it all at one place. It's no need to have to go to here and here and there and here and there and everything. It's hard enough running a Kenner Twitter account and a Star Wars Junk account. So I don't want to have 2 Facebook, 2 Instagrams, 2 everything else, because it's already hard enough. So again, thank you for listening. If you got anything you want to talk about, again, StarWarsJunk.net, you can find all the information how to get in touch with us. And please, leave a iTunes review. If you're listening to this on iTunes, leave us a review on iTunes, please. I don't know about Google Play, if you can rate and leave reviews there. If you can, please do. Lets me know one thing, that people are out there listening and enjoying this. It makes me want to do more, because it's hard to get some feedback sometime on this. So again, if you're on iTunes, please rate and review us. In 2 weeks, we'll talk to you.